I don't know if you've noticed, but grainy gradient effects are really, really in right now. They have like this way of sharing a color for your brand while also making it a little bit more interesting, a little bit more modern, a little bit more edgy. And I actually use it in my own brand. And I had a comment on a YouTube video recently that said, Jacqui, how on earth have you made this? And I wanted to let you know, firstly, it's super duper simple. And in this tutorial, I'm going to show you how I did it. So if you follow me on Instagram at all, if you don't already, I would highly recommend it because there is lots of goodness being shared over there. My handle is whitedeergd. Then you will have noticed I've updated my branding a little bit lately, and it includes a cool green. It includes some purple textures. And there's kind of all these kind of gradients happening. They're really, really subtle, but they're really, really interesting, and they don't overcomplicate the design, but it does give it a little bit more focal interest. And the texture and the grainy effect on it is super on trend right now. And the way that I did that is actually so simple. So I want you to open up a Canva document. It can be any size. Probably think about the kind of size graphics you're creating regularly. So whether that's an Instagram background size you need, or whether for me, I also do a lot of presentation slides. So doing it kind of a wide presentation could also be useful. Open up whatever size you're wanting. And what you want to do is find the apps section. So Canva has a lot of different apps that different people have made and contributed to make Canva even more awesome. And I want to show you one special one today. So go over to the apps panel, and up the top, I want you to search gradient. So jump into the search panel and search in here gradient. So you want the gradient generator option. So I'm going to click on this, and you can see in here, it comes up with an automatic preview of a gradient. And so our job is to go through and change the colors of each of these little circles, change the noise level of these circles, and find a gradient that's going to suit us and our business perfectly. So to change the colors of the gradient, all you need to do is click on here. You can either use the color spectrum by sliding it over to the colors that you want, or you can input a hex code. So a hex code is a 6-digit or letter combination that is a particular color. So for me, for example, for my brand, if I go over to my brand kit, I have a few colors for myself. So I'm actually just going to input a circle and to show you the colors of the branding colors that I have. So I have this one here. I have a darker purple. I have a lighter purple. I also have some different greens. So I have a lot of different options for me and my business. So if you haven't already got your colors nailed, I'd recommend doing this before you kind of work out all of these different gradients. If you want help deciding on your branding or graphics, that is what my whole business is about. I help business owners to create their own branding in Canva. I've got a course for that called DIY Design My Biz, or I've got a whole coaching container program where you can work really closely with me called the Co-Creation Design Club. Both of the links for those things will be in the description below. So if you're interested in some help, you're sick of doing it alone, you're sick of everything looking a bit amateur, then make sure you hit those up. But if I go back to the gradient section here, I can then paste in the different hex codes. So if I actually click on this circle here, I can click on this color, click on this color here, and you can see the hex code is appearing for me here. So I'm actually going to press copy, and I'm going to go into my gradient section and press paste. So Control C and Control V, and you'll see that that color is now pasted into there. I can go through and then do that for each of my colors. So today I'm going to work on a purple gradient because I've already got a green one, and I'm going to work on a purple one. So I'm going to click on my color, select the hex code for it, go back to my gradient, paste that in. We want to do a whole range of colors. So we don't just want one color, because then the gradient will have no lights and darks to refer to. So a gradient works because it's got those different variations. I'm going to click on this, press copy. So you can go through and choose a different color for each of these, or if you want to, you can repeat some of your colors. So I'm actually going to go through and use this same color twice, paste, and maybe this darker one as well. Or what I can do is I can paste this in, but I might decide, you know what, I think I want something even darker for this to kind of contrast the gradient. So I've pasted in my hex code now, but if I actually grab this little circle and drag it down, I'm going to do it drastically to show you what it is. If I drag it down here, it's going to create a darker version. I've gone a diagonal angle here because it helps me keep the same kind of color tone. If I was to go up over here, it kind of just makes it a little bit more brighter than my colors are. Or if I go down directly, it makes it a bit more muted than my colors are. So my hack here is to go diagonal down because it will make it darker, but in the same kind of color tone. All right, so once you're happy with your colors, this is the next important crucial step. Please do not miss this step or you're going to be kicking yourself. I know because I've done it before. We want to press lock color palette. If you don't press lock color palette, this app is just going to randomly choose another set of colors for when you're choosing your gradient layout. So lock that color palette. Please lock it. All right, so I'm going to just delete these colors here to make things simpler. And if I go add to design, it's going to actually take this gradient preview here and add it to my design. Got a little square here, all really beautiful and cool. What I'm going to actually do is choose some different kind of gradient layouts because this one I'm not loving. So what I can do is press randomize. If you were to press randomize without locking the color palette, that's when it changes your colors up. So don't do that. I'm going to press randomize now with my color palette locked, and it's going to give me a lot of different options for this gradient layout. So I'm just going to click randomize over and over and again until I'm really happy with that gradient. This one here is kind of funky. I'm going to add that in. So you might want something really subtle, or you might want something that's got a bit of variance to it. That's totally up to you. And you can see that last one was really quite dark. This one's really quite light. So working out what kind of gradient you want for your business. And just making sure that you add anything that you're liking in before you press randomize again, because once you press randomize, you can't go back. So I just add anything in that I'm kind of liking, and then later on I'm going to go through and color out the ones that I don't want. Oh, I like this one. And so I've got a few that I like now, so I'm going to stop now. But if you wanted to play with this even more, you could even go back and make some of these colors a bit lighter or some of these colors a bit darker, or you could add in some totally different colors if you wanted to. If I press randomize again, I've got some yellow in there. I could add in all sorts of colors. I could do a whole rainbow. I could do them quite different or quite similar like I've got here. And if I undo, I'm going to show you what undoing the lock color palette does. So if I press undo, you can see that it just totally changes the colors again. So if you're stuck for colors, you're just doing something random, do that. But you can see that it's just kind of picking any color in the whole world and changing that up. All right. What I could also do is I can change the level of noise in the graphic. So if the noise is the level of graininess, so if I bring this right up, you can see it gets super duper duper grainy. I personally think this is far too much, so I would personally go down to around here. Maybe 16 is kind of my level. If I add to that to design, you can see that if I zoom in, it's got a good level of grain to it. So just totally choosing what your level might be. For me, I've chosen quite a subtle one. All right, so now looking at these gradients that I've added in, I want to choose the ones that I want to use. So you could choose to use all of these or just a couple. I'm going to go in and say, I'm really enjoying not this one, not this one. My favorite is this one here. So I'm just going to keep that there. So there's two ways you can do this going forward to save this to be something that you can use over and over and over again. I'm going to copy that and open up a new page. If you don't have this thumbnail view down the bottom, this is how I like to view pages. You can just go to scroll view here, and that will either view the scroll view, which is probably what you're automatically on, or you can press this thumbnail view and change it to thumbnails, which is what I've got here. So I'm going to copy this. I'm going to press select it, press Control C, or you can press these dots and press copy, then go over to my new page and press paste, Control V, or these three dots and press paste. And I can then right click on this image and press set image to background. And that image is now going to get stretched over my whole background. If I wanted to, I can double click on it and I can move it left and right because it was a square and my background is a rectangle. So I can just crop it the way that I would want to. And that's really all going for me. So I could then design an Instagram post on top of this and I could be all done. But if you want to then save this for future, what you can do is either press share here, download, leave this as a PNG is my recommendation, and I could then choose which page I want. So for me, I want to save page 4, done, and press download, and then download this to my files. Or another way that you can tackle this is by making 2 of these. I'm just going to press this duplicate button and put this right on top of each other. So I'm going to just zoom in a bit closer so you can see what I'm doing. If I just put both, like this is identical, I want to put one on top of the other. And now I can save this as its own little square. So if I grab my mouse and drag and select, it's going to select both of those 2 squares together. I'm going to right click and I can then press download selection. The reason I've done 2 squares, if I right click on just one square by itself, that download selection button does not appear. So I'm going to go back and have 2 of these together, select, download selection, and I can then just download that square by itself without having to put it into a background of something, without having to resize my design to fit a square. I can just save this. And for me, I want to make this quite large. So I have Canva Pro, and Canva Pro gives me the ability to upscale an image. So I'm going to scroll this all the way up and get something a little bit larger so it's a bit more high quality. If you don't have Canva Pro, I would just copy and paste your design into the size you actually want it to be and then save it like that. Right click. So I'm then going to press download. And then what you can do is if this is something you're going to use over and over and again for your branding, I would save this to either a folder or to your brand kit. So if I go over into my brand kit and scroll down and I'm going to go to my graphics, you can see I've already got my green one here. I'm going to press see all. Then I'm going to press the edit button. I'm going to press plus. I'm going to press upload graphics. And so I'm going to grab that purple graphic that I've just found, that I've just created, and add that in. I can choose my square one or my rectangle one. I'm just going to do the square one just because that's going to have a bit more space for me to work around with the graphic. And I'm going to upload that into my Canva brand kit. If you don't have Canva Pro and you still want to upload to be somewhere that you can regularly use, you can also use folders in the exact same way. But just make sure you press save once you're finished on your brand kit. So for me, I've also got a folder of graphics. So if I go down here into the side, I've got a folder of my white deer brand elements. If you don't have any folders yet, you can just go to projects over here and you can press create folder. If you press create folder, you can just call this like business name or brand elements or whatever you're kind of doing, brand backgrounds, and paste and use that. So I'm going to open up my own brand elements. And again, I'm going to press the 3 dots and press upload, and I'm going to upload that exact same purple into my brand elements folder. So that's either way you can save it. So that is how you can create your very own personalized gradient background. You can make it any color, any graininess level. You can even make it 0 if you don't want any grain level. And then you have a custom background you can use over and over again in all of your graphics. And again, if you're wanting support to choose your brand colors, to make your own or to find your own brand elements, make sure you hit me up in either my DIY Design My Biz course or the Co-Creation Design Club. You can find the links for both of those things in the description below. And if you enjoyed this video, please make sure you hit that like button and that subscribe button to make sure that you can learn more from me around how you can use Canva really strategically for your business.